In this video, I'm going to break down how you can maximize running follower ads and build a marketing ecosystem. I'm going to break down how I'm getting 40 to 60 followers a day with less than $50 ad spend, how I come up with content ideas, how I'm testing creatives and finding winners, how I'm selling 6K offers in the DMs, whilst also setting high value calls for our done for you offer, how I'm automatically growing the email list and YouTube on the back end through this, how I get low ticket buyers for my info products that liquidate the ad spend. And as a bonus, I'm going to send you the free automation that we use in ManyChat as a download. Okay, so content. This is probably one of the most talked about topics online. I have a different take when it comes to content than most people. A lot of people are trying to get views. They're trying to go viral. They're trying to do things just to get vanity metrics. And I've actually worked with clients that have had millions and millions of followers and struggle to monetize, right? Other than maybe some brand deals, but they haven't actually, been able to sell their own products and offers very well. And so, I've got a tiny audience. I've made over $1 million online with, I think we've just hit 5,000 followers on Instagram, a few hundred connections on Facebook and LinkedIn. And then this channel at the moment has like less than 1,000 people. So hit subscribe if you haven't already. But when it comes to content, the most important thing, first of all, is the who, right? A lot of people create content for themselves. They're just telling their story. They're kind of, they're trying to like relate to people and they're trying to make it really, overly personal sometimes. And look, I think it's important to share your story. And I think it is important to connect with people on an emotional level. But you need to create the content for your ideal client, right? Like if you're using content to nurture, to connect with people that could potentially become a client in the future, then your content needs to be written, it needs to be scripted, it needs to be planned around that person, right? Now, you're not just making this up out of thin air. Like you need to have relatability, if it's case studies, if it's your own journey, but it needs to relate back to that person. Like, who is it that this content piece is for? Every time I create a piece of content, that is always going through my mind. I'm thinking about somebody, I'm thinking about, the type of person they are, what type of questions they have. Like a lot of the content I create comes from people asking me questions, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's email, whether it's Instagram, whether it's clients, whether it's conversations I have. It's things that, people are actively asking me, or it's just been through my own journey because, I've been on this journey for like 11 years now. And so I've been through a lot of stuff and I can relate that back to people in my audience. Next is the hook, right? So if you look at this content piece, this is the hook. Randomly boosting posts isn't a strategy. Now, if you're wondering how I created that hook, it's because a lot of people in the DMs message me saying I'm running ads and I'm just randomly boosting stuff. I don't know what I'm doing and I don't have a strategy. So I literally took that messaging, made that the hook of the video. And then when it comes to, the call to action in the actual copy, it's very simple, right? Follow and comment, follow 50 for the full training on boom, 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 right? Which essentially is like kind of like an intro into the video I'm doing now. It was a training I did a few months back, did really well. This got hundreds of comments, ran it as an ad, and got a lot of followers, got a lot of comments. I'm not actually running this anymore. I'm running some different ads. So I'm not, necessarily the results I'm getting now aren't necessarily from this video right now. This was like a couple of months ago. I turned this off recently just to update my ads and update my messaging. In the video, we need to give a lesson, right? And the lesson doesn't have to be, here's 3 ways to do this. That generally is quite boring and doesn't really connect with people. How I like to deliver lessons is either through storytelling or through mistakes that people are making, right? Because it opens a loop in your mind, right? If I'm talking about a mistake you're making, you're like, yeah, I am making that mistake. It opens a loop at the back of your mind to naturally want to take the next step. And then I'm closing that loop with the call to action, right? And I'm also building desire as well, right? I'm building desire for the next thing because I want people to comment and they're commenting to get access to the training, right? So I'm breaking down follower ads and breaking down some of these strategies in the training, which I'll show you in a second. And it's building desire, which links to the call to action, which is comment and you'll get access to the training, right? Now, I've highlighted authority for a reason because one thing I see a lot of people do, especially marketers, when it comes to creating content, is they're just talking about theory. And it looks like they've just watched other people's videos and just regurgitated it through chat GPT or sometimes even just word for word. And I think this comes from a lack of certainty and a lack of confidence and maybe even a lack of experience. But when I'm creating content, I try and do it from my own perspective of stuff I'm doing or stuff I've done, or I tell it through the perspective of what we've done with clients, right? Like I'm not just like, here's 3 ways you can scale your business, because it's like, well, that's not based on anything. Like I could just pull that out of thin air and make that up, or just copy other people's content. When you tell your story, when you share insights that are unique to you from your own journey, from what you've done with clients, people can't copy that, or they can try to, but it doesn't come across as well, right? Like they lose that authenticity and ultimately that authority. And so that's really, really important when it comes to content. Next is automations, right? So there's two automations. I'm going to go through the first one. The first one, when it comes to ManyChat, you will have seen this before. You comment on a video or a post, ManyChat fires off and it sends you a few things. Okay, so this is the automation, and this is what we run on the front end. So when somebody comments follow 50 on the post that we talked about, they're on this content piece, they comment follow 50, they go into this automation, and basically what we're doing here is we're just doing the essentials. So I don't like to automate too much when it comes to ManyChat. I automate the things that are necessary, that's just manual tech work, but I'm not trying to have like fake conversations. I actually jump in manually and speak to people. So if you're having a conversation with me, it's an actual conversation. It's not just it's not automated, right? Like I think you can automate too much, and I think sometimes people do that and they just lose sales momentum when they do that. So there's a few things we do, right? First of all, they need to be following me to get access, right? I'm running follower ads on the front end. I want them to follow me so they see my ongoing content, so they see everything else I'm doing. So first step, just make sure you're following my page. To get access, then click below, right? They click that. Then we go through a condition where if they follow me, they go to the next step. And if they don't, they get hooped back in to this message where it's like, it looks like you don't follow me yet. If you go back and you click follow, you'll get access, and then prompts them to do that. If they click this and they still haven't followed me, sometimes people do this like 4 or 5 times. It's quite funny. I just keep sending them the same message, and then eventually they'll go and follow me and then do it, right? And then they'll go through. And then if people aren't willing to follow me to get access, then that's cool. They're not going to go through to the next step. Then what we do, similar, is like we have a condition for email. So I have people that come through and they opt into multiple things of mine, and they're already on my email list. So I don't need to resubscribe them because they're already on there. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. And so we have a condition where if their email is unknown, they'll go to this automation to get their email, and then they'll get sent access to the training. And then if the email is known, so they are already on my email list, then what's going to happen is it's just going to send them directly to the link to the training. And then I tag people, right? Like I add tags for everything I do, because then when it comes to the contacts, I can kind of see who's opted into stuff, or if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I can click on the profile and I can see they've opted into multiple things. It's their warm lead, and then I can reach out to them. If somebody comes through this sequence, they put their email in, they get the email, which then prompts them to watch the video. I don't send them the link because I actually want them to open the email, and I want them to start going through that ecosystem on the email marketing. So I say that should be in your inbox. Did you get the link, right? Now, sometimes people will reply to this and they'll say, no, I didn't get the link. Now, every single time I check it on the back end, it's always because they haven't checked their inbox properly, or sometimes it's like gone to promotions. And then I'll just say, like, just double check your spam and promotions. And they're like, oh yeah, I found the link, right? So that's really useful. So we're now growing the email list and we're sending them to YouTube. So we're kind of doubling up there. So on the email list, there's a few things that we want to do. We can do a newsletter, and that can be like anywhere from, some people do it daily. I don't. I tend to do kind of like 3 or 4 emails a week. And in those newsletters, you can do like behind the scenes, what's going on. You can share some more lessons and insights, and you can also send offers. And you can do this in a small way where you're kind of writing a valuable piece of content. Like I look at email writing as content, right? You writing a valuable email, and then at the end there's an offer. Or every now and again, I don't like to do this too often, but every now and again you can just do a really direct offer, something like a Dean Jackson, which is like the 9-word email. Hey, are you still looking for help with your marketing, for example, right? And then you can hook people in that way. And so the email list is growing. We tend to get between 35 and 40% open rates in the email, which is great. Again, this has contributed to a lot of sales over the last couple of years. And then through the email and through ManyChat, they're getting sent to YouTube, right? So this video specifically so far has had 3,800 views. Some of these are organic as well. Like this video actually did all right organically for me. Like this got additional views on top of what we were marketing from everything else. But there's a few things we want to do in the YouTube video. We want value, of course, like anything on YouTube when it comes to like an educational consulting coaching, you've done for you offer, like you need to be showing that you know what you're talking about and providing value. I think things like vlogs for inspiration are okay, but I really just don't rate them that much. Like I think just sitting down and actually giving some value is really insightful. And then there's two things we want to do, right? We want to close one loop and open another. So if you think about it like this, somebody's clicking through to a YouTube video to learn something or to be inspired to do something, right? And you're closing that loop in the video. If you don't, they're going to be frustrated and confused. They're not going to be like, well, I learned the thing that I came to learn about. I'm like now pissed off, right? We want to close that loop. But then what we also want to do is we want to open another loop, right? So they keep binging our content. And we do that with content sequences, right? So we have a call to action at the end. And it might be like, hey, go watch this video to now learn about this next thing. Or you could take them off the platform and say, hey, go and learn this. Go and DM me this keyword on Instagram. So there's a couple of CTAs I rotate, whether it's to message me a keyword on Instagram, and I'll go through what that looks like, where we're selling in the DMs. And then also I send people to, other videos, but I also send people to our low ticket offer, right? So, today, this wasn't today, it was a few days ago, but from a screenshot, had 18 new customers, 19 payments, right? Like one of them was, I think it went through twice or something, I'm not sure, but yeah, 18 new customers in one day. And, these customers upsell, right? This guy bought our $5 playbook on the 13th of June. 5 days later, upsold into consulting, 6K in total. And, this is happening in the DMs, it's happening frequently because it's just a value stack, right? Like the YouTube videos that I put out, they're obviously valuable, but like behind that, there's also other layers of value that we can provide, through insights, through, the playbook is $5. And if you do want the link, I'll plug it now. The link is going to be below, so you can check that out if you want it. It's $5, right? But that goes into more detail into these strategies, into targeting, into things like that. And there's call to actions in that, right? And then when it comes to low ticket, right, this is one thing that I get asked a lot. People think it's some shiny object. It's definitely easier said than done, getting a low ticket offer working. But you want to focus on one specific problem and topic. Like you don't want to go broad and talk about loads of different things. You want to go specific and talk about one problem, right? So the playbook that we sell is an Instagram ads playbook. And there is one upsell on that. And it is templates, right? Template scripts and some tutorials as well. Again, around that same topic of Instagram ads. It needs to be easy to digest. Like sometimes people put low ticket stuff together and there's just like hours and hours of content. People look at it, they get overwhelmed, they never watch it, right? So you want it to be easy to digest. It needs to be valuable. Like it doesn't want to just be something that you've like spat through ChatGPT. It needs to be like insightful and useful. But it does need to be something that people can go through quite quickly. And then it needs to have clear call to actions throughout, right? Like, so one thing I do is I have literally some call to actions. Like if you want more help with this, like DM me the keyword XYZ on Instagram. So I know that, this specific keyword has come from our low ticket. And then they're part of the content ecosystem, right? If you've bought a low ticket offer, you're on the email list. Chances are you're watching YouTube. Chances are you're following me on Instagram. So they're part of the ecosystem. So, it's not always that they're going to come through like this fast, where somebody buys the low ticket and 5 days later they pay me, 6K. Sometimes people buy and they come in 3, 4, 5 months later, and that's fine. Like I'm okay with that. I look at these sales as just a bonus, to be honest. Like they liquidate the ad spend. Sometimes over 100% and we're profitable. Sometimes under it and we're not profitable technically, but it's just reinvested back into the system, right? And that's really, really effective. So lastly, the second automation we do, whether you're on my email list, whether you're watching YouTube videos, or whether you are buying a low ticket product, there are different keywords that I use and they fire off an automation, which basically leads to a sales conversation. So I know these are warm leads. These are people who are actively reaching out to find out about the offer. Like they're not just after a freebie at this point. So this is more like bottom of funnel. And then what I'll do in the DMs is I will find out about them, because we get two types of people that reach out. We get people that are interested now in mentorship and coaching, and we get people who are interested in our done for you high level offer. And very quickly, I will find out kind of like what they're looking for. And there's a few things here, right? So we want to sell to warm leads, right? We don't want people like coming through and trying to sell in the DMs. This is specifically around selling your offer in the DMs. You don't want to try and like sell people who have just come in top of funnel. Like it's going to be extremely hard. You can book calls with them 100%, but trying to sell them and send them a sales document when they've literally just found out about you is going to be very, very hard without a sales call. And we use the spin framework. I didn't come up with this. It's been around for decades, which is like a sales process I learned from a mentor years ago, which you can use in sales calls, but you can also apply it to appointment setting, or you can use it within trying to sell through the DMs. And it's situation, problem, implication, and needs payoff. So situation, you are literally just asking them questions to find out more about their current situation, right? Which naturally is going to lead to the problems they're facing, right? What problems are they facing right now? Is this something you can actually help them with? Like for me, I don't just send my offer out to people for the sake of it. Like some people I just don't send it to because I'm like, you know what, they're not a right fit right now. Like they have some stuff they need to figure out first. I can't really help them with my offer. It doesn't make sense for them right now. Right? Implication, right? So what if you don't solve this problem, what does that mean for you? Like what's that going to equal? For most people, like I'm speaking to people around business, if they don't solve these problems with their marketing, with being able to get better client results, if they're a marketer, they're going to lose clients or they're not going to get paid as much. And, they're just not going to grow. And then needs payoff, which is like their goals, right? So what is it they actually want to achieve by solving these problems? And why do they want my help specifically? Like they've DM'd me to find out about my offer. Like why me? Like, why do you want to work with me? Why do you want to find out more about working together? And then people will just tell you, right? And you'll be surprised how much people open up at this stage. They don't open up as much, top of funnel if they've just discovered you for the first time, but bottom of funnel, once they've gone through content and they reach out, they do open up. And then from there, I can just make an offer and say, okay, cool. Well, look, I think you'd be a really good fit. Here's the document. Let me know if you have any questions. And I leave it at that, right? And I have a sales document I send people. It has a breakdown of our offer in depth, has the pricing, has everything in there, FAQs, like everything is covered in there. And then from there, it's up to them. I don't pressure people. Like I don't, especially for the mentorship side of what we do, I want people to want to work with us. I don't want to be like hard selling people. That's not the goal of the mentorship. It's like you are invested, right? Not just financially, but like you are invested in the journey. 6 months and people are coming in and they actually want to do the work. They want to work together. And if they don't, that's fine. I'm not trying to hard sell people with that. That's all good. When it comes to booking calls, right? If you're doing this for calls, you can do the exact same thing. But instead of saying, here's my sales document, you just say, cool, well, look, I think I can help you further. How about we get a call in and I can go through and then relay this back to them, how we can solve your problem, right? Really, really simple. But like this framework, although there's, nuance to it and you have to, really kind of go back and forth and adjust this over time, is a really powerful framework. And so when you get that right, it's going to be really helpful, whether you were trying to sell in the DMs or whether you're trying to set calls in the DMs. But I do this more so bottom of funnel to sell. Again, if we have people that have opted into multiple things for the top of funnel, I'll reach out to them if I think they're a good fit, and I'll just have a chat with them more about, where they're at. And then I might send them some resources on YouTube, re-engage them and get them through that way as well. So that's this system. That's how we are maximizing the follower ads and building a marketing ecosystem. People message me all the time and they say, oh, like I'm running follower ads, but they're not profitable. Or like, I can't make money from them. And it's because they're just looking at the ad itself. They're not looking at the full ecosystem. They're not doing anything after somebody becomes a follower, or they're just, they're literally just doing follower ads, DMing somebody and hoping they become a lead. There's no nurture. There's nothing in place to, to really turn them into a warm lead and sell them. And so I think this process is really, really powerful when you get it dialed in. But it takes a bit of work to build out, right? Like you need to make sure you have these steps in place. And if you're a marketer and you build this out for other people, best thing to do is find clients that already have YouTube, already have email, right? Like that's what we do. We most of the time anyway, our clients are already doing this stuff and we're just adding fuel on the fire, adding some automations, building systems around it. But then we do have SOPs as well, around email marketing. If people aren't doing that or they're not doing it as effectively as they can do, we have SOPs around the email. We have SOPs around like what I call reverse organic. I have a video on that. I'll link it in a second if you haven't watched that before. And that breaks down kind of this in more detail. And then low ticket is only something we do with a few clients right now. But, again, this is just a good way to scoop people back up, recoup some of the ad spend and warm them up a little bit faster to actually go and, take action and take that next step for the high ticket offer. So hopefully you found this useful. As I said in the top of this video, if you want the access to this automation, I'm going to link it below. You can download that and get that for free. There's no opt-in. It's just a link directly to get that. If you want the playbook that I mentioned earlier, I'm going to link that below. And if you want to learn more around these systems, then I did a video, I think last week, and you can check that out. I'll link it here and you can get access to that. See you in the next one.